It's another Ghost Host upload, and today we got some massive news to discuss. TikTok could possibly be permanently banned in the US, and it might all come down to one court hearing on March 23rd. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to hit that bell to stay notified whenever I drop a new one. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the US government has recently been in serious talks and considerations of banning the popular short-form content platform TikTok due to its potential to be supplying the Chinese government with information of millions of US users, and some accuse the platform of being some form of Chinese spyware. The reason for this accusation is because the Chinese government actually holds 20% of the stock of the parent company of TikTok, ByteDance, so it theoretically has access to all of the data that TikTok collects on its users, right? Like, politicians are claiming that since the Chinese government is affiliated with the company, that they will have access to the data of American citizens and then use that to their advantage, right? The Chinese government will use it to their advantage. There are also speculations that the app is intentionally lowering the IQ of the younger generation, stunting their learning, and just straight up making people dumb. And regardless of whether or not that is intentional by the Chinese government or not, dude, you can't even argue that TikTok isn't bad for you mentally, because it clearly is, dude. And I'm gonna get more into that later in this video, but for now, we got to discuss the big court hearing that is going to be happening this Thursday on March 23rd. I am currently recording this on Wednesday, March 22nd, so this hearing hasn't happened yet. But by the time this video is released, it will probably be the same day of the hearing or the day after. So yeah, as of right now of me recording this, the court hearing hasn't happened yet. But anyways, the CEO of TikTok himself, Chus Argument, sorry if I mispronounced that, will personally be defending the platform and trying to get the US government to reconsider and not go through with the ban. Notes of his upcoming speech were given the news outlets, and I'm going to be breaking down some of what he's supposedly going to use for his argument in the court hearing, and I'll also leave a link to the article that I got my information from in the description. Anyways, I'm just going to be reading different parts of what he'll supposedly argue in this upcoming court case, and then we're just going to talk about it. So yeah, let me get right into the article here. Let me say this unequivocally, Chu will say, according to a copy of his remarks released by a key House panel. ByteDance is not an agent of China or any other country. In his written remarks, which span nearly a dozen pages, Chu defends ByteDance's corporate structure and outlines steps the company has taken and plans to take to resolve fears the Chinese government could gain access to TikTok user data through its potential influence over ByteDance. Among those steps is a vow to firewall US user data from unauthorized foreign access. Drawing a familiar page from Silicon Valley's lobbying playbook, Chu also plans to present TikTok as a boom for free expression and entrepreneurs, while also appealing to antitrust concerns surrounding big tech. We do not believe that a ban that hurts American small businesses, damages the country's economy, silences the voices of over 150 million Americans, and reduces competition in an increasingly concentrated market is the solution to a solvable problem, Chu will tell lawmakers. ByteDance was founded by Chinese nationals, but their shares now represent only 20% of the company's overall private ownership, according to Chu's testimony, with the rest comprised of employee stock and global institution investors such as BlackRock and Sequoia. Okay, so the first part of his argument here is pretty good. He's basically going to try to show lawmakers that ByteDance is very much like a corporate business. It's not controlled, or the decisions aren't controlled or ran by the Chinese government. And he's also going to argue that banning TikTok will drastically affect the US economy in a negative way, essentially saying that TikTok helps all of these small businesses and is this platform of free expression for all these American citizens, so they shouldn't ban it for those reasons. And just arguing that oh yeah, social media platforms like TikTok, it's a concentrated market, and having TikTok would increase competition and basically just lead to a better economic market and a better overall product on the market if there's competition, right? And finally, he closes it out with saying that Chinese nationals did they'd found ByteDance, but right now they currently only represent 20% of the company's overall ownership, so it's not like they're really going to be making like major decisions. Like 80% of the company is owned privately, and that is who's going to be making most of the decisions here. So overall, a pretty solid argument to start off. Let's see how he continues it here. As a part of a $1.5 billion security overhaul known as Project Texas, TikTok last month began deleting US user data from its proprietary servers based in Singapore and Virginia, Chus, and the deletion process is expected to wrap up later this year. New TikTok data created by US users is already being stored on cloud-based servers operated by the US tech giant Oracle, a change that took effect last month according to testimony. A recently formed TikTok subsidiary known as US Data Security, USDS, will be solely responsible for handling Americans' personal information going forward, Chu will say. USDS already has nearly 1,500 full-time employees, and the company plans to have more. Our commitment under Project Texas is for the data of all Americans to be stored in America, hosted by an American headquartered company, with access to the data controlled by USDS personnel, Chu will say, adding, under this structure, there is no way for the Chinese government to access it or compel access to it. While there may be some employees outside of the USDS that will be able to access the data for legal and compliance reasons, according to Chu's testimony, that access must be specifically approved by USDS. No employees of Beijing Douyin Information Service Co. have access to any databases that contain any protected US user data, Chu will add, telling lawmakers that the hiring criteria for USDS employees will be clear, that it foresees the data access policies being subject to third-party audit. So in this part of the argument, he's basically going to be informing all of these people he's going to be arguing to in the court hearing that TikTok is deleting their data of US citizens from their like main servers or like databases in like Singapore and Virginia, and they're going to move all of that data to like this new subsidiary like called the USDS, right? And it's going to be ran by an American company, Oracle, and it's basically going to be like in America, overseen by Americans, and tied to an American company. So they're kind of like trying to show that, hey, we're not trying to spy on anyone. Look, we're going to give it all over to like US owned businesses, and like it's all going to be happening in the US. So my only problem with like this argument is that they haven't finished like doing this process yet, right? Like they're still in the process of moving all this data over, and you may just be like, ghost toast, like obviously it's going to take time. Yeah, I'm not saying like, of course, like I understand it's going to take time to move all that data over, but this is the digital age, okay? You can delete something, but like have copies saved. It's like so easy to just like save a copy of all of this data, then delete it and be like, oh look, we deleted it, it's all gone, it's all under the US control now, and then you still have like access to it because you like saved copies of it or like have it stored in some sort of like secret database. It's digital information. It is incredibly easy for TikTok, especially since they're the ones that have all of this data. Sure, they could delete it all, but it's so easy for them to just like make a copy and hand it over to the Chinese government. So this doesn't really like bolster my confidence in TikTok at all. Like sure, they could delete it, but that doesn't really prove anything considering we're talking about digital data here. So the argument is kind of slipping a bit here at the end, and let's go ahead and take a look at how he caps it off here. US officials have threatened to ban TikTok unless its Chinese owners divest their shares, but Chu will say forcing a disvesture would not necessarily lead to the creation of data access controls that TikTok says will resolve the underlying national security concerns. Bans are only appropriate when there are no alternatives. But we do have an alternative, Chu will say. Chu will also condemn a recently disclosed incident in which ByteDance employees were fired for spying on certain US journalists. Chu plans to describe the incident as a misguided attempt to trace the source of a leak of confidential TikTok information. TikTok informed the Energy and Commerce Committee about the spying within moments of informing our employees, Chu will add. The Justice Department is reportedly investigating the incident. Okay, dude, so this is kind of the worst part of like this whole argument here. It kind of like not falls apart, but it definitely like takes a few hits in this section here. So the first part here is Chu basically saying that they're not really going to force the Chinese owners to divest their shares. And like, I completely get that, right? Like, I completely understand from a business standpoint why you wouldn't just like tell all the people in a certain country that have like invested in your company, hey, you all have to like sell your shares right now, when it's like a profitable like business. Like, that business wise, that doesn't make sense. Like it makes complete sense for them to not force people to do that. But also at the same time, it definitely doesn't like boost confidence, right? That TikTok isn't giving like China information on US users. Like, it just doesn't bolster confidence, okay? Like, I get why he's not forcing them to do that. It's totally reasonable, but at the same time, for the situation that he's in, it also kind of looks a little sus, okay? And secondly, Chu also will be talking about this incident where recently ByteDance employees were fired for spying on US journalists, and he's going to try to say that like, oh, they just like accidentally spied on the journalists because they were just trying to like trace confidential TikTok information that got leaked. And it just so happened that like they ended up spying on these journalists as a result of that. But don't worry, we fired them and informed the people immediately like after they were fired. Which like firing them, yeah, sure, that looks good, and sure, you informed the Justice Department like pretty soon after it happened. But the fact that there was an incident where like employees from your parent company were caught literally spying on like US citizens, US journalists, that doesn't help your cause at all, dude. And like, he's gonna condemn it, right? But at the same time, it also sounds like he's gonna try to lighten the matter, like say, oh, they weren't spying, it was just a misguided attempt to trace leaked information. Come on, dude. Like, it's either spying or it's not. Like, you can't like phrase it, like, don't sugarcoat it if you're gonna like condemn the actions, okay? So that was pretty much the argument that Chu is gonna be presenting to the lawmakers in this upcoming court hearing. And look, I'm not going to say that China is for sure spying on American citizens through TikTok, right? Because we don't really know for sure, even though there's some evidence, we like don't know for 100% certainty. And some of the protections that Chu discussed in his argument do seem like they would be extremely helpful in preventing China from accessing data of Americans. But two things. First of all, there's no guarantee that these measures will even be properly implemented nor enforced, so there's that. But secondly, even if this all ends up working out and TikTok prevents China from stealing data on US citizens, I still think that TikTok should be banned, dude, or at least restricted, like heavily restricted. And yeah, I know it's a hot take, but I have several reasons for why it would actually be a great idea to ban TikTok. Let's be honest, dude. TikTok is bad for mental health. Social media in general is bad for mental health, but like especially TikTok. It's way too easy to get addicted to it. It promotes brainless content that literally doesn't benefit you in any way. It promotes dangerous trends like the Borg challenge and encourages people to act like complete turtleneck sweater idiots for clout and attention. It has massive amounts of softcore corn on the cob, and tons of it is of minors, so it's just like full of vile, sick, disgusting content. It lowers attention spans, kills motivation to do literally anything else that would be 1,000 times more useful than mindlessly scrolling through a dumb app for hours. It's full of stupid, degenerate content that is of no use to anyone and idolizes idiotic people for the dumbest reasons. If TikTok gets banned, I will be so happy because it's honestly an awful part of our society. And most people who say otherwise are probably just copers who need to excuse their addiction so they don't have to get called out on it and make a change for the better. Cause you can't improve if you don't even acknowledge the problem, right guys? TikTok may not be Chinese spyware, but I still think that it should be banned either way. And hey, if this is a potential way that we can get rid of this sick, cancerous virus for good, then I'm all for it, dude. Someday, I might make a video going more in depth on why TikTok is such a terrible influence on our society. So if you want to see that video, then let me know in the comments, and I'll probably add it to my list of societal issue videos. But anyways, that's pretty much all for this one. If you like this video, chances are you would thoroughly enjoy my other content, and I highly recommend subscribing and turning on notifications to stay informed on whenever I drop a new video. If you want to help me fulfill my dream of becoming a full-time content creator, then please spread this video around and put your friends on the quality content we got going on here at the channel. Regardless though, I appreciate you all. Don't forget to let me know what you thought in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you all on the next one. Have a great day.